What's up, folks? Coming to you from the communist state of New York. This is Modern Munitions. I'm your host, Jeff. Going to cover an important topic today, at least for me, right? And that is carrying with a round in the chamber, getting comfortable with carrying with a round in the chamber. You guys that watch my channel know I'm from New York. Unfortunately, we just were allowed to start carrying somewhat around a year ago, once the Bruin decision. And with that, you got a lot of new pistol license holders that I can see, you know, being a little nervous, right? A lot of us, we didn't grow up carrying guns, so this is new to a lot of folks. And guns are serious, as we all know, right? It's not a toy. It's not something to play with. It's something you got to be super, super careful with. And carrying with a round in the chamber can be pretty nerve-wracking for some folks. Everyone's going to tell you their own advice. What I recommend is take the good and the bad from folks, but don't do anything that you yourself are not 100% comfortable with. That's what I did. So let me just grab one of my pistols and I'll give you an example of what I did to get used to carrying with a round in the chamber. So we'll take my CZ P07. As you guys know, this is one of my favorite pistols. Let me grab a magazine real quick. Apologize for that, but as I'm unloading this mag, you know, I'm going to be honest with you guys. Dropping a few rounds, but those are snap caps. But I'm going to be honest with you guys. Even for me, you know, never carrying a pistol before, it was nerve-wracking to carry appendix with a live round in the chamber, right? There's a lot of important stuff down there. Don't have to get into details. That's pretty self-explanatory. But I'm not going to lie. It took me about 2 weeks, right? So what I would do when I went out, I would have a magazine, but I wouldn't have a round in the chamber. And even though I knew, God forbid something happened, you know, there was no way I was going to be able to rack my slide and get it on target in an emergency situation, right? If you do your research, and I always encourage you folks to do your research, things happen in seconds, sometimes milliseconds. And I think the FBI rule is like 3 feet, 3 shots within 3 seconds. So if you think about that, you know, things happen super quick, right? If someone's already got a pistol on you, number one, you shouldn't, you know, I'm not going to give advice to anyone. I'm not a lawyer or anything legal. But what I will say is use common sense, right? There's times where you're going to be able to defend yourself, and there's going to be times where, unfortunately, someone has to jump on you. And like I said, when your adrenaline is going, right, to be able to lift up your shirt, pull out, get it on target. It seems when you practice at home or whatever, it's not hard, but in a real life situation, right? Things get hung up, your adrenaline's going, and now you add into it, pull up your shirt, get your pistol out, and rack the slide. Man, a lot of things could happen, especially with a CZ. It's got a small slide, right? You might not get a full grip. You might get a half a rack. And now you put yourself in a worse position and not even having a gun. Now you pulled out a gun that you can't use. And you know how that saying goes, never pull out a gun unless you're going to use it. So anyway, what really helped me, and I read forums and everything else, but started using snap caps. You know, there's tons of different kinds of snap caps. I hope this zooms in a little bit. Anyway, on the back of the snap cap, there we go, is a plastic piece, right? It's almost like a rubber. And I don't know if you can see that, guys. Probably not. So on the back of the snap cap, you have this piece of rubber / plastic. The cool thing about that is when you have the snap cap in the magazine, and listen, there's numerous reasons for having snap caps, right? You don't want to dry fire your pistol out, but I'm going to go ahead, gun is unloaded except for the snap cap. But when you pull the trigger on this specific snap cap, and I didn't rack the slide, I apologize for that, but the snap cap is already used. So anyway, let's just do that. Rack the slide, get the snap cap in there, pull the trigger. The cool thing about this snap cap, what I would recommend is getting the ones where I showed you with that backing, because when the firing pin hits the snap cap, it's going to leave a little indentation. So the reason I say that, right? Once again, when I started carrying, I wasn't comfortable with a round in the chamber, but what I then started doing is carrying, and listen, I wasn't walking to places I thought I could get in a confrontation or anything else, right? Because I knew I was putting myself in a position where my pistol probably wouldn't be readily available, like I said, with racking and everything else. Anyway, so what I did, I would go ahead and put the snap cap in, rack it, then I'll just walk around all day for about a week and a half with the snap cap in the chamber. And every night I would come home. Now listen, we all know these guns don't go off by themselves. You got to pull the trigger. Yes, there's a few situations, right, where maybe if you drop a certain unsafe firearm, things happen. But the chances of a gun going off without pulling the trigger, there's so many different things, right? You got firing pin safeties, you have internal safeties, you got a decocker. Some guns you have a manual safety. So, you know, one of the biggest rules with guns is trigger discipline. So technically I knew this gun would never go off, but that still did not help with the fear in the beginning of carrying. So what I did is, like I said, started carrying with a snap cap in the chamber. Every night I would come home, I'd look at the snap cap, there was no indentation. I know that the firing pin wasn't going off, plus the gun was decocked. I could see that the hammer position never changed. And listen, I got a Jeep, right? I'm going off-road, I'm bouncing around. And like I said, as a new carry holder, you're always like, ah, man, is this thing gonna fucking go off? And you know it's not. But this video, like I said, is really just about mentally getting over that hurdle. So, folks, you know, once again, don't listen to everybody, and they're going to tell you, hey, you know, if you bring your gun out the house and there's not a round in the chamber, you better not even carry it. Well, that's great, but then you're never going to overcome that fear. So, what I would say, guys, is, you know, for you new people carrying, give it time. Don't rush into things you don't feel comfortable with. The last thing you do want to do is rush into something you're not comfortable with, and God forbid you had a negligent discharge or something else. Man, that's the last fucking thing you'd want. But my point to all of you guys, take your time, right? This isn't a race. We've waited long enough in New York to get our pistol permits. You know, what's waiting a few more weeks to actually feel comfortable carrying something? Now, the other thing, and I'll just touch on this before I wrap it up, in the spring, in the summer, and the warmer months, I tend to carry appendix. It's easier. I got a t-shirt on. I feel that for whatever reason, I print a little bit more to 3 or 4 o'clock position with my PO7. Now, that's a different case for the Shield Plus, but that's something else to think of when you're getting over this mental hurdle. Sometimes carrying at the 3 to 4 position gives you a little mental, I don't even know how to phrase this. It makes you feel a little safer mentally, right? Because the gun isn't pointed, once again, at some very, very important and crucial objects you're going to need in life. Carrying appendix could be a little worrisome. Now, personally, I don't carry striker fire appendix. Like I said, I know these guns don't just go off, but my striker fired guns, I carry at the 3 or 4 position. My double action, single action, hammer fired positions, I carry appendix. That's just me, to each his own. I hope this video helped you guys. Like I said, I'm just trying to give a little bit of knowledge of what helped me. I'm thinking about doing a follow-up video on my first year concealed carrying in the state of New York. I actually just hit that anniversary, and some tips and tricks on what I learned, what helped me, you know, just being out there and things like that. So anyway, I know this is a quick one. Hope it helped, but really just about getting you guys over that mental hurdle. So that's it. Like I said, I hope it helped. Stay 2A safe and stay tuned for the next one.